Hi everybody. Hi Chris. Thanks for organizing it and thanks for having me today and giving me the opportunity to present at your Midlands LabVIEW user group meeting. My name is Andreas Krieseder, and I will show you a few nice tools from my collection that make the daily use of LabVIEW a little bit easier and nicer. I will swap the agenda and make the introduction of myself then at the end, so that we can dive directly into our favorite tool, into LabVIEW. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can, yeah.
Yeah. So I also want to show most of the things live in LabVIEW, so I will jump around between PowerPoint and LabVIEW. Hope that's okay for you. And I'm not sure how you normally do it, but I can also share the slides afterwards as a PDF and with all the links to the downloads and so if you want. Yeah, let's get started. So we can just go over that. So that's just a list of tools that I've covered here in that presentation. And I'm starting with a very simple one. So I'm focusing on downloads that you typically can get through the VI package manager, or some also are hidden in some forum posts. And there is so much great stuff out in the world, but it's always hard probably to find it. So that's why I started this slide set, and it's always growing. So if you have also other ideas and tools, you can just tell me, then we can add it to this list and expand. And yeah, so it contains quick drops, shortcuts, and toolkits and stuff like that. Yeah. So that's one that I found recently, which is a way that you can easily order elements in a cluster, for example, with a shortcut. It depends if you want it. I personally typically order them more in a chronological way, how they are used. But if you prefer that, there is a nice add-on that you can easily do that to order it automatically. Maybe one thing to mention is if you want to create the cluster initially, you can just select the stuff here and do right-click, create cluster from selection. I'm not sure if everybody is aware of that, so that's the fastest way to do it. And then selecting it, Control-Space, Control-C, and then it gets ordered alphabetically. In general, I'm not sure how the knowledge level is distributed between all the attendees. So there is some light things and also some more advanced things that I will cover in this slide set. Hope we can get a good mix. So that's that. And this is one of my favorite ones, the error structure drawer. I'm not sure if you know that thing. I will also show you that live. It's very handy to create the error in and output, and also the wiring in the connector pane by just pressing a shortcut. So we'll show you that. So let me place any VI here. Let's do the read text file. I select it, and then I do Control-Space for the quick drop, and then I do Control-E. You see the magic happening. It builds the error case structure, error in and error out, and also very nice that it does the wiring in the connector pane. Yeah. If you just want the error wires but no case structure, you can do this same shortcut but with Shift. So Control-Space and then Control-Shift-E, and then it just creates error in, error out, and does the wiring in the connector pane. So that's that error structure drawer. And I said most of the stuff you get in the VI package manager. I'm just showing you that here. If you search here for error, you find here the error structure drawer, for example. So let's move on. So very often I get the question in the LabVIEW trainings that we are doing, how can I align the elements in the front panel or in the block diagram using shortcuts? And there is not really a way to do that. You could only do the last alignment with a shortcut, but to really do all possible alignments through shortcut is not possible natively. But there is luckily a very nice add-on that a friend of mine developed. It's called Align Elements by MN Projects. And with that, you get an add-on where you can define how you want to align it. Let's say you want to align it to the left edge and distribute it proportionally. It would be A and Q. So you're doing Control-Space to get the quick drop. Then you type in AQ, and then you do Control-A, and then it does the left align and distributing automatically. Yeah, and as soon as you have this shortcut in your fingers, that's very nice because you can align the stuff in a very fast way. Let me demonstrate that here. Let's put some elements here. I want to align them on the left edge and distribute them proportionally. Then I do control space, type in AQ for left and distribute proportionally, and then control A for aligning it. And to find out what letters are assigned, you can do control space and control A without anything selected, and then you would see yeah, the key mapping. And then everybody of you that ever has played games on the computer using a keyboard is probably familiar with the assignment WASD, right, from driving cars or whatever in the computer game. So it's maybe a good hint to remember on which side you would align the elements. So sadly, we are not all in the same room because typically I always try to ask the question who already knew that, and so it gives me an idea of what is new and what is old stuff that I'm telling you. But maybe we can just do a summary at the end. This is also from the same guy, MN Projects. It's the context help editor. So in general, this guy is a big fan of using shortcuts and not using the mouse too much. So this add-on gives you the possibility to use the context help very easily through the keyboard. So you do control space to get the quick drop, then control H to get this help window, which shows the description text of the VI, so the VI description. You can type in your text, and then you can just hit escape to get away from this dialog again, and you can continue programming in LabVIEW. The nice thing is that that adding this text is not immediately saved, so you can also undo it with Control Z if needed. You know? So it's also a pretty handy feature if you get used to it. VI Properties Editor. I think this one is not possible to download through the package manager, but I have it on our website, and I think there is also an entry on the NI forum. So what does this thing do? So we all know that we should do a VI description for our VIs, but as we see here, there is no VI description. Yeah? That's why this smiley on the right side here is very nervous, so no additional info. And yeah, normally we would go into a right click here, properties, VI documentation, and drop down, right in the text, click OK. And then we have to repeat that for all of our VIs. And with that tool, you have the possibility that you open it through the tools menu, and then you can load a directory, and assuming that there are multiple VIs in this directory, we will see all of them in the left tree, and you can just click through them and always get the corresponding VI description here. So this is a very fast way to describe multiple VIs, and then at the end you can just apply the VI description to all the VIs and save the changes with one button click. That's also a nice one, I think. I can quickly demonstrate it here. So there's not much stuff in this project, just 2 test VIs, but to give you the idea, we go to tools here, VI documentation, update VI properties, and then I can load here a directory. So I'm using that directory here with the few VIs inside. And now it shows me all the VIs that it found in this directory. And as I'm clicking through them here, the VI description here is the description of the VI that is selected on the left side. Yeah. So I can type in my text here. This parses a JSON string. Then I can say here, this is a demo VI for nlook. Another demo VI. And now the description is set for all 3, and I can just hit apply, and all descriptions are saved. And we can check that here with showing context help. You see now the text got added here. So maybe you can integrate it in your workflow. Let's say you built a few VIs, maybe you are right before checking in your code into the repository. Then maybe it's a good point in time to open this tool, make sure that all the descriptions are there and up to date, and then you change and apply them, and then you commit your stuff. And I think it's just a faster way doing it. Yeah, that's that. There's a comment in the chat. There's an alternative also. Robust systems, VI description, right click. I did not know that one. I will have a look at that also. Thank you. So, and now we see the smiley is happy, so that's good. Documentation is there. I also added the link down here for some of the slides with additional tutorials also for how to use that stuff. Okay, so pain relief. Probably some of you needed that already when building LabVIEW front panels, that you maybe had to slice them using the splitter bus. And yeah, it's probably some effort to do that well, to move the splitter bus pixel perfect, let's say, to change the background colors of the different panes, or maybe to lock the splitters and all of that. And this is just a tool that makes the usage of splitters more easy and handy, I would say. Let me also demonstrate that one. So let's make a new VI here. I will use a common pattern that I typically do, like having a header, maybe having a sidebar here like that. Probably have some buttons here. Then maybe I have some logo over there. And then I put some graph here in the bigger workspace. I do a right click and say fit to pane. That's also nice. That's the easiest way to get a scalable UI. Now you see that the left and top stuff sticks to the top and to the left, and only the graph is growing. So that's one thing. And yeah, let's look into the pain relief thing now. So it's Control Space, Control P, I think is the standard assignment. Let's check. Yeah. So what you get now is here a preview of how your selected VI is sliced. And here you can click each of these panes. And for example, you can change everything that is important for us. We can disable the scroll bars, for example. We can change the position of the splitter, for example, and the size and everything, pixel perfect. You can define how the pane should stick. Let's say like this one here sticks to the left, that's good. This one here should stick to the top. And you can also select multiple panes here like that with Shift, and selecting all 3 panes. And now, for example, I could switch them to a white background color. And I could also lock, for example, the splitters so that I cannot move them by accident later on. So that's the pain relief. If you have any questions or comments, yeah, just unmute yourself or write in the chat. If there is nothing, then I will just continue. So that's
a question in the room, Andreas.
Yeah. Yeah.
All these shortcuts, are they all included in LabVIEW, or do you have to install an additional package?
I think none of them is included in LabVIEW, if I have it correct in my head. So they're all. So most of them you find in the VI package manager, and some of them are somewhere hidden in the NI forum. And I think that's the 2 main sources. But I can provide all the sources in the slide also. Yeah. But I think there were no native things so far, so no.
One more
Okay.
one.
Yep.
The VI documentation package. You know which version of LabVIEW is that available from?
Well, I think actually very old LabVIEW versions are supported as this. Let me check here. So I show you quickly move over here the original post here. Do you see that on the screen? So that's the original post in the NI forum. There are some newer versions that are circulating somewhere in the internet.
Okay.
But the old like these versions here, they should work with very old versions also. I think the post is from 2011. So here you see the requirement. Yeah, so it says 2013 and up. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And also here in brackets, you see older package versions provide support down to 2009 even. So yeah, that's good. The next thing is the MGI panel manager. This also falls into the category UI stuff, I would say. It's a package that you can get through the VI package manager again. It's just a collection of different things, how to handle UI stuff like pop-ups or sub-panels and things like that. And there is the default package, the MGI panel manager, and there is also an add-on if you're using DQMH to make it easier to work with DQMH modules that you can say maybe you have a main VI that has a sub panel, and in there you probably want to load different front panels of your DQMH modules. Then the MGI panel manager is a good way to make this process easier. And if you install this package, you also get in the example finder you get an example project where you see a lot of different things, how to deal with window positioning and capturing panel events and all that stuff. It's a good and big collection. Yeah. Probably will not go into the details of that thing now, but just keep it in mind if you need some UI stuff. You don't have to build it from scratch. There are some nice add-ons that you can use. Maybe one that I picked here for the screenshots is the add-on for DQMH also. What this gives you is if you create a new DQMH module, you get 2 new entries here that you can create a singleton or a clonable panel, which gives you then the possibility that you either show the front panel of a DQMH module in the sub panel of the caller, for example. In that case, it's the tester VI, or you can also just pop it out in a separate window. That's pretty handy, and I think a common thing that is needed, that you maybe have the full application maybe on one screen, and probably you want to maybe dock out one front panel to see a graph bigger maybe on a second screen or stuff like that. So these are things that you could do with this library. So there are a bunch of different config files that are used in the industry. So everybody probably has its favorites or its standards. I typically try to use like XML or JSON, or sometimes also ini files. For sure, there are solutions for all kinds of config files in LabVIEW. There are also a lot of native VIs in LabVIEW that you can use for parsing a JSON, for example. But there are a lot of add-ons that give you a lot more control and features dealing with with config files. And one that I want to show you is from GTP Science. It's called JSON Text. You can also get it through the VI package manager. And there is a screenshot here on this slide. That's one of the standard examples, just to show you a few things, how you can use it. There are some nice VIs to, for example, convert a cluster into a JSON structured string, or also for sure in the other way around. What is also nice is that you can, from a JSON string, you could like unbundle a specific item using the syntax that you also use in Python, for example, to work with JSON. Some people prefer that they can use the same syntax like in another language to access the elements of the JSON structure. This is some of the features that you can do here, or things like pretty print, that you have a very long JSON which is probably not formatted well, everything in one line, and then it would just print it in a readable structure and stuff like that. Any other add-ons that you probably use for dealing with config files? Maybe if you have something, you can just put it in the chat. Or in general, what do you prefer for config files? What do you use typically? Do you use JSON files also, or do you use XML or INI files, or maybe you just load it from a database? Or that's the nice thing in LabVIEW, right? So we are not limited here. We can pick whatever is needed. I typically like things like JSON or XML because you can structure and nest them very well, but you can still edit and view them in a standard text editor or so. Yeah. In your normal JSON files. Oh, okay, thank you. Then let's move on. The GCLI is also something that I want to mention. I'm not sure how many of you in this round here are using a CI/CD workflow, for example, where you test your software in an automated way, like doing a VI analyzer test to make static code analysis, or to do unit tests, maybe using something like the Karaya framework, and then at the end, maybe when everything is good, you probably build your application, you build the executable, maybe you also programmatically generate the documentation of the project. So these are all things that you can do in LabVIEW if you have the certain tools in place. And there is since a few years the LabVIEW CLI that you probably know, that you can use LabVIEW through the command line, which is nice because then if you have a CI/CD workflow, you can build your pipelines where you have the recipe what should happen after you maybe push new code to the repository, and for that you need the LabVIEW CLI. So that's natively available. That was to mention that, so you can get that directly when you install LabVIEW. I think it comes since 2018 or so, if I remember correctly. But what is maybe a disadvantage of the LabVIEW CLI? Does anybody know here in this round, or have you ever tried it?
No users in the room, Andreas, at the moment.
Yeah. I didn't get it, sorry.
Nobody's used it in the room.
And nobody used it in the room. Okay, yeah, so no problem. So the difficulty is with the standard LabVIEW CLI, you make a command like where you say, okay, execute this build specification to build an executable, and then you do not get any feedback, only if it at some point maybe was successful, you get a reply, or if it died after a timeout, for example. But there is no way to, for example, get continuous feedback, which can be a big problem, right? So maybe it's stuck in some process and you're waiting for a long time and you never really know what is going on. And this is maybe okay for very short processes where you say, okay, copy some files here and there or whatever. But if you maybe start executing a build or whatever, or doing a VI analyzer run through a lot of VIs, that can take some time, and you never know, will it soon be finished, or is it stuck, right? So that's a little annoying then for debugging pipelines. So there the GCLI is pretty handy, that I'm showing you here in that slide. It's available in the VI package manager, and with that thing you can also remote control LabVIEW through the command line, but you have the possibility to to communicate back to the command line while things are getting executed. So to give you a rough idea, I have a screenshot here. So this would be, for example, a command to execute the specific VI through the GCLI, and you can also pass in arguments from the command line to LabVIEW. So you see here the two arguments that I added here are getting received on the LabVIEW side, so that's nice. You can work with them then in the LabVIEW code, and also the other way back, you can write strings back to the actual CLI that made the initial call, which is very good because then you could make like a progress bar, for example. If you have, I don't know, 50 VIs that are running through the VI analyzer, you could just communicate some information back into the CLI that you find out at which stage you are and stuff like that. So that makes it a lot more dynamic and also easier to debug if things are not working as expected. But I think we always still have to keep an eye on both solutions, because also the LabVIEW CLI is getting more features also, and it's getting developed. So recently, for example, they added the command headless, for example, if you heard that you can start a LabVIEW in an automated way without a user interface, for example. That, for example, is very useful if you want to run LabVIEW, for example, inside a Docker container, for example. So I would not immediately switch to GCLI and not use the other thing anymore. So it depends a little bit on your use case and what you do, and it's probably always good to keep an eye on both of them. Maybe there are also other implementations. I'm not sure. I only used the default one from NI and the GCLI. Okay, any questions to that? No. Okay. Then there is a thing that I'm showing since a very long time in my slides, but there are still a lot of people not knowing it, so I'm also showing it here. So you probably are aware of the bookmark manager in LabVIEW. I think it exists since LabVIEW 2013 or so. What it does is, so you can make labels with a double click in your block diagram and write some comment or to do or whatever. And if you add a hashtag at the beginning of the label, there is this tool, the bookmark manager, that automatically will find all these bookmarks that are distributed somewhere in your project. So that's very nice. But with this add-on, it's even nicer, because you get the preview of the block diagram when selecting the actual bookmark here in this tree. And that's, I think, very important, because later on you probably have a lot of bookmarks and you're probably not sure which is now the one that you want to check. So you see the preview in the block diagram, and with a double click on the bookmark, you jump into the code where this bookmark is placed. Let me give you a quick demo of that here. So let's do some label here. Just double click and say maybe it's the to-do, implement proper error handling for file IO. And yeah, let's assume it's Friday. So I save and close this stuff. And then I'm coming back on Monday, opening my LabVIEW project, and I can then check where I stopped by opening the bookmark manager here, View Bookmark Manager. And when you have installed the additional one, you get here the one with block diagram preview. And let's open that. And now you see it finds the bookmark. And if I select it, I get a preview here of the code. And with a double click, I can just jump to the location and continue my work or my debugging or whatever I want to do. Yeah. And if you have multiple of them, you see that it's updating smoothly. You find all of them. If they share the same hashtag, they are getting stacked here also. That's pretty nice. Yeah. So I have some use cases for that, how I use it. So one thing is that I'm leaving to-dos either for me or maybe for colleagues. Another thing could be that you make, for example, like documentation in a guided or structured way, that you say maybe make a hashtag for everything that is related to hardware documentation, like or database connection, file I/O, or analyzing your data, or whatever you do in your software, and then it's much easier to find the right VIs if you maybe want to onboard a new colleague into the project, and they should then maybe modify the code to access the database. Then you can just tell the new user, hey, let's open the bookmark manager and make yourself familiar with all the bookmarks that are related to the hashtag database, for example. Or another case that I'm using it for is when I'm doing code reviews for customers. Then maybe I'm getting the code from them, and then I can just make a hashtag code review and write my comments, my thoughts to that code portion, and I can just save that and send it back to the customer, and then the customer can just open the bookmark manager and find all my comments very, very easily. Okay.
Sorry, I have a question. Is it possible to use it? And for example, when you are using loops or cases, I don't remember the option. I believe it's sublabel option. Can we also apply this, the hashtag?
Yes, you can.
Yes.
You can type a bookmark in the sublabel, the subdiagram label of a structure. So on for loops, while loops, case structures, you can right click and you can enable the subdiagram label, where you can just type anything you want. And if you type, if that starts with a hashtag, then that first word will be considered. So yeah, that works. Yeah. And in the options, in tools options, you have an option to enable the subdiagram labels by default, such that when you create a new for loop, it's already there. You don't have to right click and make it visible. You can make it visible by default.
Thanks.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a very good comment. I'm also a big fan of the subdiagram labels in general, so you can use them for all kinds of structures here. Yeah, it's a good point to enable that in the global options. And I just tried it out here, so it's also it works, no problem. That's good. But sadly, it does not work on the front panel. I think it did not change so far. I think maybe it could be probably also sometimes handy when you create like UI mockups and stuff like that, or prototypes of UIs. But it's only available here in the block diagram. Okay. Okay. So where are we now? So that's that. Yeah. So then, as we talked earlier about config files, there is another one that I like, which is the tool GXML. You also find it in the VI package manager, and it gives you a few VIs that makes it very easy to convert a LabVIEW cluster into XML, or in the other way around, pass back an XML and feed a cluster with the data. So I have here a screenshot to give you the example. I have here an XML file with one cluster inside with 4 elements: separate, device name, operator, and warning. So mixed data types also. And you see the name, the data type, and the value. It's XML file, so you can change it in any text editor. That's great. And then this example shows you the way how to convert the LabVIEW cluster into a XML string and then write it to an XML file. And for sure, it also works the other way around, like loading the XML file, reading in the XML string, and then converting it back to the cluster structure. I also added a link down here for a more detailed tutorial if you want to try that out. Okay, so there is one thing that I have to show you. That's a very nice one that I found a few years ago. This one is not in the VI package manager, so you have to get it through the NI forum or on our website. What this thing does is you probably have a JSON string, probably provided from some web service or device or wherever you got it from, or maybe from another application, and you need to use this JSON structure in your LabVIEW application. So you would typically build a cluster that has the same shape as the JSON structure, and then you can load the JSON data into the cluster. Depending on the size and how nested this JSON file is, this can be a lot of annoying clicking work. And there is a very, very nice quick draw plugin that creates this cluster programmatically through VI scripting. You just select the string and you make the shortcut and you get a cluster. I have here a video in the slide. Let's see if you, not sure if you see that. Let's try. Is the web connection good enough that you see it?
Yeah, we see that.
Yeah. So we create the string control, put in the string, select the string control, press the shortcut, and the magic happens, and you instantly get a cluster that has exactly the same structure as the JSON. That's I showed this a few times already in different presentations, and the people that manually had to build very big clusters, they appreciated a lot that this thing exists. Not sure if you have ever seen that one. And just to prove the how complex JSON strings this tool can handle, I tried it once with a very, very big JSON string from a finance website, which covers all currencies and all the exchange rates into all other currencies. So that was a really, really big JSON string. It took very long, actually, that it built the cluster, but it could do it, so it worked. That was pretty nice to see. And this I also want to demonstrate to you, because I extended this one a little bit, because what I did not like in the standard behavior of this tool was that when it creates the cluster, it makes a new VI that I probably don't need, and inside there it drops a new cluster, and the cluster is also not the type definition. So what I wanted differently is that it does not create an additional VI that I probably don't need, and it should save it as a type definition. And to make it also easy to use, not through a shortcut like it would be typically done, I added it to my right-click menu. There is something called the project providers that you probably heard of in LabVIEW, and with the project provider, you can, for example, add your own icons here, like that one here. Like if you see stuff from JKI, maybe, for example, they have their own buttons here, or you probably have your own right-click menu. Or you can also add stuff to this new menu, for example. This can be done through the project providers. And what I did is I extended this VI script that creates the cluster to also save it programmatically as a type def. But before I'm making a user dialog so that the user can define the path and the name and then save it. So and I added here a right-click entry. So if I'm doing a right-click on JSON files in my LabVIEW project, I'll show you what's inside before. Let me pull that over. So that's the JSON string here. So if I do a right-click here in my LabVIEW project, you see here there is an entry that you would not have, which is create cross cluster from JSON. I press that now, and it gives me a dialog now. And now I can define a name here and say, oh, it's my type def. And then I click OK. And you see it creates a type def on disk. I can move over the Windows folder here, so you see it created the type def programmatically, and it also added the type def to the project, and now I can just drag it in, and I have now the exact cluster that represents my JSON structure. So I think that could be maybe a useful thing for you also. So let's try it out if it works. I'm loading the JSON file, and then let's convert the string into a, I have to copy that and give him the, give him the constant so that it knows how to pass the data and match it. Yes. Sorry, it's that pin here. And yeah, let's try it. Always risky with live demos, but no risk, no fun. Yeah, so it works. So, but that was now just a native LabVIEW VI passing a JSON string and converting it to a cluster. If you maybe need more control here and more features, you can also probably maybe switch to the JSON text library that I showed you earlier. Okay, I think that was the last tool or add-on that I had for today. There is also a slide here with the demo and the link again to the tutorial. I think I have I'm pretty much in time, right? I think in next slot starts soon, right? Yeah, then as promised before, I'm doing the introduction of myself now at the end. So my name is Andreas Krieseder. I was working 11 years for NI, and since 5 years I'm running my own company. And yeah, so I'm as I have to feed my family, I have to do some advertisement. So that's the advertisement block now. So I'm mostly focused on training and consulting in the LabVIEW space, and we have a lot of different levels, really from the beginner to the expert level, and we customize our trainings as needed. And so we have a strong focus on LabVIEW, but for sure it's not just LabVIEW. There are also a lot of other nice tools that you probably know, like Tester and Diadem, and also Python in the recent years got very attractive in the NI world. So that's what I am mostly focused on, and also consulting services, doing things like I mentioned previously, doing code reviews of applications or planning architectures together with the people and so on. Yeah, and I'm based in Austria, so I'm mostly focused on the Austrian and German and Switzerland regions. And there are also some partners that we collaborate with in different countries. And so I also wanted to take the chance today to tell you about the cooperation with George, who is also here today. So he's running static engineering since a few years. And yeah, he's also offering consulting and training services, and yeah, we are collaborating there to also offer the trainings yeah, in your region. So if there is a need and interest, just come to us, and we can see what we can do together. So I used all the 45 minutes, so that's it. There is my last slide. So if you want to connect, you can do that through email, phone, LinkedIn, or whatever channel you prefer. And also George is here in the room, so if you want to connect with him, he's also available. Then yeah, thanks for your attention. I hope that there were some new things that you didn't know yet, and yeah, have fun trying it out. And if you find something nice, you can also tell me about it. I'm also always interested in cool LabVIEW add-ons. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Andreas. I got one quick question. I don't know how quick it is actually, but we'll see when I ask it. So you've got a load of stuff set up there in your development environment. What happens when you change LabVIEW versions or you get a new laptop? How do you ensure all that? Have you got a kind of speedy way to maintain that environment when you transfer to those different LabVIEW versions or different laptops?
Yeah, very good question. That's always a big pain, yeah, to organize everything. What I typically recommend is to have a repository where you have all the stuff that you need if you want to set up a new developer machine. That could be your own or from colleagues or from whoever. And there I would have my recipe, and you can automate as much if you want, right? So the minimum would be to document which tools you used. The next step would probably be to build a VI package configuration which can bundle multiple VI packages. So that would be a very easy way to roll out multiple VI packages through the package manager. You could do the same with other things that you could probably roll out through the NI package manager, because you can build your own NI packages and roll them also out through the NI package manager. And for example, options that you change in LabVIEW, like we had the subdiagram level stuff, these options modify the LabVIEW ini file, which is placed next to the LabVIEW executable. This is also something that I would always back up and put into a repository that I can easily check it out on a new installation, because then you can very easily have all the settings. You can, with one package, install all the VI packages, and with one package, you can install all the NI packages. And you could even automate that through the CLI if you wanted, right? So that's what I would recommend, to build a script that just does all these things after you installed your new LabVIEW version.
Yeah.
Okay. So it doesn't come so there is no like a native option to do that, right? So like very often in LabVIEW, it's a lot of manual work to do that, but I think it's worth it, because you can use that then for forever, right? And distribute it to other colleagues also. So that would be my recommendation. We'd like that.
Yeah, I fully support what Andreas said, and I believe that in order to create the VIPC file, the VI package configuration, I think the pro version of VIPM is needed, which is the paid for version.
Yeah.
But then to use the VIPCs to actually install what's defined in there, you can use the free version. So I believe you need the pro version, the paid to create it, and that could be just on one machine that has that license, and then many machines can use that VIPC file, which defines everything, which is great. And to what Andreas said about the LabVIEW ini file that stores the settings, what I've been doing for a few years is I have a separate notepad file where I just keep maybe 8 or 10 settings that I typically change from their default on a new LabVIEW installation. So I just have this text file with 10 lines of text, which I copied from ini file, years ago. And then whenever I install on a new machine, I just copy those lines of text to the bottom of the ini file. Yeah. You save, you restart LabVIEW, and it's all there as if you clicked everything in the tools. So that's a kind of a reproducible way to define your environment options.
Yeah, nice.
Simon, just to jump in there, I don't think you need the pro. I actually built a VIPC for OpenG talking just the other day, and it wasn't some free version.
Okay.
Yeah, George just said the same, actually, that you can
do it.
Use it free now.
Okay, sorry, my bad. I got confused.
That's good though. It's free. Like it's a no-brainer then, right?
Absolutely.
Well, it's really handy actually, because somebody that roles wanted to use the toolkit that I was using.
Yeah.
Just hand them the VIPC. It installs it all for them. It's really handy. Puts it on the palette and everything. You can select where it goes on your palette on the block diagram.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, we'll jump on to
Is it okay if I jump in and say something? This is George.
Sorry,
sure, guys. In terms of the LabVIEW ini file, one other approach is that you can back up your ini file as an actual file, and then I actually just have a really simple PowerShell script or a batch script, and you just run it, and you just copy and paste the backup LabVIEW ini file just right into your LabVIEW directory. And so you can install and do that. Because Andy and I do teaching quite a bit, we're always creating new virtual machines for our courses. And so there's one way to install LabVIEW and just replace it real fast, right before we have to quickly jump on a call or do something. And then in terms of managing packages, yes, you guys, I agree with the free VIPC thing. There's also something new called JKI Dragon. I don't know if you guys have thought about that, but the VIPC is your own personal configuration that contains your exact versions of the packages you want to link back to VIPM. But then the add-on JKI Dragon actually creates a kind of configuration file akin to what we might do in the Python world, which contains not just the links or the names of the packages, but also the versions, and it can actually pull that in. I don't have a demo. I don't know if, Andy, you got something you're going to show, but it's a fairly new thing, and it's worth looking into if you're interested in this kind of thing.
Nice one.
One thing also I would like to mention related to the headless option that was mentioned earlier to do with the LabVIEW CLI, the CLI made by NI to interact with LabVIEW, not the GCLI, which is an add-on package, but the native CLI now has that headless option, which I think applies to the very latest version, the LabVIEW 2026 Q1, which is latest right now. So with this headless option, you can run the LabVIEW environment in a headless way, so you don't see any windows. You can just type commands in a command line, and the LabVIEW will pick that command and will execute whatever your command was. For example, building an application. You can do that programmatically through the CLI, which is great. But what's also really awesome with the headless option is that the LabVIEW instance doesn't have to be licensed, if I understood correctly. I haven't tried it myself, but I read the documentation. So the point of this being that you can now spin up quickly a virtual machine and then install LabVIEW. You don't have to put in a serial number or anything to license it. Just use the headless option to build things or to run VI Analyzer, these sort of things. So, and you can do all that basically without licensing LabVIEW, as long as, of course, you don't need to actually view the windows and manually edit things. So I think that's credit to NI that they have built in this functionality, and they essentially allow people to use the headless option without actually licensing, which just makes life easier for virtual machines and Docker containers.
Good stuff. Okay, thanks again, Andreas.